we're off to a bit of a slow start here this morning. And anyway, morning is just over half gone already. We have some photo etch to get yet for these planes. Got to get the canopy, D21, and the cross bracing for the float struts, 22 and 23. And then I got curious, how did I do it on the other plane? You know, the one that we did with the folding wings. And so let me get it out here if I can. This was quite a while ago, so I covered it up, keep the dust off of it. Anyway, now if you will notice, we didn't put the cross bracing on. That's why I couldn't remember how I did it. Okay, wonder what I did with those pieces, because if I check the photo etch sheet, the canopy's gone, which is made, and the two cross bracing are gone, but where are they? They're obviously not on the plane. Okay, they're probably somewhere, because I wouldn't throw them out unless they had got hopelessly damaged. Anyway, they are on this sheet. There are 4D sheets because there are 4 aircraft. Anyway, let's get our canopy and our cross bracing for the float struts. And I can actually remember seeing these for real floats, and they weren't round and they weren't square either. They were sort of, you might say, almost airfoil shaped, so that they were sort of streamlined. In other words, they were probably about 3-4 times as wide as they were thick. Anyway, that's interesting to me. So sort of seeing stuff like this, it brings back a lot of memories from a long time ago. Anyway, let's snip these off here. Now, I haven't sharpened this little homemade cutter for a while, but I think it still should be pretty sharp. I was just noticing right now that the blade looks a little bit, you might say, chipped on the sharp edge. I have to remember to be careful when I lift the blade up not to accidentally bend something. These parts can only be bent so many times and then they come off. Okay, now for this one, and for these two tabs, I'm going to swing it around 180 degrees. Okay. Ooh, that's okay. I saw where it went. Now, this one here, let's just wait a bit here. Okay, let's swing this around. I didn't hear that one go pop, but I think I got it. I'll soon know. No, it's still attached. I think I better sharpen this blade. There we go. Now, isn't it amazing how these little parts just happen to fall into the tin just right so that they can mug for the camera? Now, I'm not really noticing any difference in these floats here. In other words, I don't think there's a left and a right. Now, this is the one, of course, that we did with the folding wings. And here's the one that we've got a... I was lucky. I almost got it right on without even measuring. Yeah, that doesn't happen very often. Anyway, yeah, and you can see that the bracing is different. And I remember now this cross bracing right here, that I had to extrude some plastic, and I made those up. But of course, this one is different. So, yeah. Got to get this glued in here now. You know, I'm going to show you some pictures, or a picture anyway, of my dad putting a plane on floats. Now, it was in the springtime. I'm pretty sure, or was he taking it off floats and putting it on skis, and it was in the fall? You know, I can't remember. And anyway, I'll show it to you. It's kind of interesting. At least it's interesting to me. Thinking about it now, it was the fall of 1964. And if you look at this picture closely, right in the center, in between the float struts, you can just barely see the cross bracing or the guy wires that we are actually working on now. And I know this picture looks like he's putting it on wheels here, but he only had it on wheels so he could wheel it around in the yard. That was actually our backyard. Now, because I'm going to want to be handling this plane as little as possible after the floats are on and the very delicate guy wires are mounted, if we can do it, I think maybe right now is a good time to get the engine cowling and so on mounted on, but not the propeller. We'll leave the propeller till last. Now, if you will notice here, the cowling is keyed so that there's only one way it can go on. It's a bit of a flat side right here. Well, that's supposed to match up with the flat part right here. And the reason for that is because, well, I'll show you once we get it on. There's a slight piece of detail on the front of this that is, I guess it was actually on the real airplane too. Now here's something that was kind of interesting. A few minutes ago I went to do a bit of a dry run, and you could see the flat part on the nose of the aircraft and the flat part on the inside of the cowling. So I went to try and align everything up, and to my surprise I found that the whole thing could very easily be turned. It didn't lock into place. Yeah, now isn't that something? I think that's one of the first parts that I found in this kit that, you know, it's not made quite right. Well, this is not the end of the world. We'll just kind of do everything manually here. Gotta shut that clock off. Okay. Now, I've got it in the right position, and I don't know if you can see it or not. Well, you should be able to, because I can see it. There's two little bumps right at the top of the cowling there that probably represent something, maybe an oil cooler or who knows what. Yeah, so I think we got it. Now, don't poke at it. Okay, now I haven't checked photos of the real plane, but I think that probably this part right here represents the oil cooler. Now I had been wondering what is going to be the best way to mount this on the floats or the floats on this. And at first I was thinking, why don't I take and stick the floats in the blue tack here, and then I'd be able to stick the aircraft down on top of them. But then that means I have to have the floats exactly right. My thinking now is, why don't I take the aircraft and mount it on the floats using the extra thin, and then before everything solidifies completely, turn the plane upside down, and then twist the floats back and forth until they're, flat on the bottom. Now, mind you, they're not flat on the bottom anyway, but you can sort of eyeball it and see which is right. Yeah, so I think I'm going to try that. First thing we'll do is we'll get everything all lined up here the way it was. Now, I probably am not going to be that lucky again like I was last time. Well, that's pretty close. Okay, I got them on. They're just sort of, you might say, plugged into place here. Friction fit. And I can't quite get them both to be lined up the same way at the same time. It kind of looks like maybe he landed a little bit hard in rough waves. Well, at least that's what we'll say. Don't know if you can see it or not, but the floats are just not quite right. Yeah, that's too bad. Maybe after I get the solvent on, I might be able to manipulate one a little bit one way and the other a little bit the opposite direction and sort of correct it. I won't know. I probably won't be able to do that on camera. But, well, let's see what we can do. Okay, now here's a thought. How would it be if I was to shorten the, you might call it the peg part of this strut here, and shorten the peg part of this strut right here on the back of this float, and that would allow this part to come up and this part to come up, and then it would be a little bit straighter. I think I'm going to give that a try. Okay, I think I can hold it down like this. Now the idea is we want to shorten this one on the front and this one on the back. Okay. Now just very, very little here. Don't want to, if I go too much, okay, and this one on the back. Oh, that might be too much. You know what? Maybe I should be using the sanding stick and taking it down that way. Okay, I can't do this on camera. I'm going to have to do it off camera, and I'll use the sanding stick. I'm looking at this back one here where I almost cut it, and then I stopped, and if I had have continued on, in all likelihood I would have been way too deep, and I would have ended up with two separate struts instead of coming to one little nub. But anyway, I've got my medium stick here, and I think I would just go very, very gently, maybe at an angle like this. Yeah, that should do it. Okay, I'll just do that for a couple of minutes, and I think we'll probably have something here. Everything is very precariously, I use that word a lot, don't I? Precariously stuck together here. And it is noticeably better. Not perfect, but better. Anyway, let's see if we can get a little bit of extra thin in those sockets and start solidifying everything together. And then maybe I can slightly correct the problem after everything is almost cured. Well, not cured, but dried. Okay, we'll turn it around and do the rear one. Now these ones are a little bit harder to get at. I almost have to hold my applicator with tweezers here. Oh, I think I put too much on there. Well, it will evaporate. Here's our joint that had too much. And I would say it's probably 90% evaporated out. Anyway, that's all for today, folks. Thanks for watching. And all being well, we'll see you tomorrow.